Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now.
Everybody talk. He's just watching.
I just get it done. Everybody talk. I just get it done.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the XP Esports Women's League for week number 2. My name is Proto, and joining me tonight on the main desk is going to be the man, the myth, the legend, Spudoom. How you going, Spud?
I'm doing really well. I've been really excited to get back on the desk, and we have a really, really great season ahead of us. We've got some great teams, some great players. I'm definitely looking forward to how this all pans out. It's only been a week. Already some big matches have gone ahead, and now we're heading into week 2, and finally, it's our time to shine.
Yeah, definitely the case, but some big matches from week 1. But speaking of matches, let's have a quick little look and refresher for everyone who may be new tuning in here tonight. The league format, or should I say the season format for this season, is going to be, as always, 8 teams starting off with the group stage. Then after that, we'll go on to the semi-finals, and then finally, obviously, the grand final where everything matters. So, Spud, with that, the teams for this season, we already have a little bit of a tease there on the left-hand side, but we have some new faces and some old returning faces as well, obviously, namely the Warriors, Radical Rebels, Altered Edge. But, Spud, there's definitely some new ones there that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, and these new players are definitely going to be throwing a spanner in the works. We're not going to be able to kind of predict what they're going to do. It might be really, really cool. They can bring out the pocket strats that we haven't seen. It just makes it a lot more interesting. And of course, you know, that always is where all the fun is. Of course, they're not playing for nothing, though. There is a big prize pool. That's $3,000 for number 1 place. So lots of money to go around there, as well as R6 credits for the 4th place, and second place, gets $1,000. Okay, yeah, my bad. $1,500 for the first place winner.
It's all good. $3,000, all the same, spread between the 3 tiers is nothing to be shy of. So the girls obviously going to be putting in their best effort to secure that first spot. But on top of that, Spud, something new to the Women's League being introduced is the weekly best play. Now, I've been told that clips can be submitted, and from there we will go forth and have a little look at them once they have been submitted. But winners will receive R6 chibbies, which is pretty cool, if you ask me, Spud. So get your cool plays on the Alt F9 clip and send them in so that they can be judged, and then the winners will be chosen.
Yeah, we do have to mention they do have to be clips from XP Women's League. Just putting it out there. We were discussing this beforehand, and sorry, you can't use that loophole.
No montage clips. Sorry, everybody. Yeah. But look, all the same, best clips, send them in and we will have a crack. But time to get into the nitty-gritty, Spud. The schedule for this week. The matches that are being played out tonight on the mainstream. We're starting things off with Big Brain versus Benchwarmer, and then after that we will be going on to arguably probably one of the bigger matches so far for this season, only week 2, I know, but you do have to say it, Warriors versus Vertex. Also off stream, obviously, Volpez versus Radical Rebels, and AE versus Triari. So some very big games going on behind the scene, but a big one on the mainstream tonight, which I'm very keen for, Spud.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't been watching Vodafone Warriors, they were last season's winners, and I believe they've been winners for multiple seasons in a row. They were pretty much undefeated last season, so definitely a big team to be playing up against. But first, before we get to that, we have Big Brain Esports versus Benchwarmers. A lot of veterans on both of these teams here. So they've been playing in our Women's League for quite a long time. We'll definitely know how to play and how each other plays as well.
It's definitely going to be interesting. But starting things off, let's have a little look in depth at both of these rosters. Starting things off, Big Brain, one of the new names coming in, but familiar faces. Chloe, Fish Noodle, Yoshi, Burner Bear, Cheese Bender, and the subs, Nova Wick and Repel. So pretty big names on this roster, albeit the new name, definitely something to be scared of. But this team holds a lot of the late greats of Women's League. and it's definitely something that you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, this team made up of veterans from Grumpy Grapes and I believe Forsaken Boba last season. So both these teams, they did quite well. I believe they were the ones who actually played for that third and fourth playoffs. So again, lots of experience here. Definitely going to be a really tough challenge for Benchwarmers to be playing up against. They're a relatively newer team, but definitely still, they have that experience in the game as well. They're led by their captain, Meg. And yeah, definitely some new names here who I haven't seen. So yeah, could be a bit of a spanner in the works here.
Yeah, previously in the last season, Meg obviously a part of Radical Rebels. I believe was on Overt at the time, but Luxie, Heart Explodes, and Arctic, a couple of, as you sort of said, veterans of the scene as well. But Subs, Weasel, Trotter, and Ravana as well for this team is definitely a team with some names on it that I think is going to have a good chance at going up against Big Brain tonight. So it's going to be a very good sort of game to kick us off here for week number 2, definitely keeping the standards high as the Women's League always does. But, Spud, without further ado, let's get ready to jump on into this. Any thoughts going into the first map, Spud? What are your predictions for this first game?
Look, honestly, I'm going to say that Big Brain Esports are going to win out here just based on the performance we've seen from them last week. They beat Altered Edge 7-3, and they would be higher in the leaderboard here. They're actually 4th on the leaderboard. They're only there because some of the other teams managed to get some 7-0, 7-1. So by no means they're a bad team judging from their leaderboard position. I mean, this is only after 1 week. Benchwarmers went down 1-7 against Vertex Esports, so definitely have their work cut out for them playing this week against Big Brain.
Yeah, I mean, the leaderboard at the moment is pretty stacked, but still, Big Brain holding a good standing at the moment with 4th, and definitely something that they're looking to improve here tonight, depending on how the Vertex Warriors games go. But again, something we will have to see in game number 2. But Clubhouse starting us off here, Spud. One of the classic Rainbow Six Siege competitive maps, something we see throughout pretty much every league, is Club Oregon Cafe, and we got Club. So, I mean, going into this, though, based on the current meta, Flores, etc., Thatcher usually being taken off the board, are we thinking we're going to see anything special here, or is it just going to be basics for these two teams?
Well, the fact that they've chosen to go to Clubhouse and not some of the more exotic, newer maps suggests to me that they're going to go with the tried and trusted strategies, the things that they know work, and they're going to want to do that early on when they're just kind of getting their feet in the league, trying to build up that confidence and that teamwork. Whereas later on, once you've got things all figured out, you know what you're good at, you know what you're doing, then might be the time to start experimenting with new strategies, new setups, and so on. But yeah, I mean, it's Clubhouse. It's the map everyone knows how to play, and it's a map that you have to know how to play, because if you don't know how to play Clubhouse, you're missing out a lot of the fundamentals of Siege.
And with the new rosters as well, the new season, obviously teams are going to be looking to feel each other out. So I think this is going to be one of those games testing the waters a little bit here for Benchwarmers and Big Brain, if you look at it. But we are just waiting on confirmation from one player, and then we will be straight into the action. Predictions was there. Spud reckons Big Brain's going to win. I don't know. It is a hard decision. So I guess we'll see how it all pans out. But game number 1, Clubhouse, is definitely going to be a banger. Then game number 2, we don't have the map yet, unfortunately, but I'd imagine we'll probably see something along the lines of an Oregon, maybe Villa. It's something interesting, but apparently we're going to Theme Park, we have just been told. So, we want Theme Park, sorry. Theme Park would be good. I want to see Theme Park played in competitive. I have only seen it once, so I want to see the new meta on that. But Club right now, for game number 1, we are still waiting. Spud, final thoughts?
Look, Clubhouse, again, we see it a lot. It almost becomes a sort of cliche, but that doesn't mean it gets boring, because, there's still a lot of mini games, a lot of things you can be doing on Clubhouse. I mean, just look at the way you can hold on the bottom floor, for example. You've got the kind of turtle-style, anchor-heavy style of defense. You can be playing in the freezer, or you can be holding bunker alternatively. But you've also got the kind of really fluid roaming strategy of, the SSG-style roam, and it's really diverse, and there's a lot of ways you can be innovative on that map as well. I like to think of it as the Dust 2 of Siege. It's a staple, and it's, at the end of the day, it's still a fun map.
Yeah, it definitely does allow for multiple types of play. I mean, looking at the roster that Big Brain is bringing to the board as well, it can sort of harness both the aggressive nature of style that they like to employ, as well as the more strategical, methodical style that we have seen them play across the multiple rosters that these players have been picked from. But all the same, Clubhouse is definitely going to be a map that is going to be, I think, one of the good ways to feel out each other here for this second week, should I say. But the first time these teams have played, obviously they will play more than that, hopefully. But for Benchwarmers, 6 on the leaderboard going up against 4th, it's going to be a big game for them. They're obviously -6 in terms of the round different right now. They need to get that up if they want to look for one of those top 5 spots after this night's play day, especially with Altered Edge just above them doing 2 rounds already better off the bat. So unless they can clean up the round difference and get a clean 7-0 here, or Altered Edge have to lose their game extravagantly, it's going to be all on their rounds and what they can take away here from Big Brain tonight. Because if it's a close game, they might find themselves in a similar position. But if they can get it quickly, they could be looking at a possible 4th place finish, maybe a 5th here tonight, which would be good for their standings, obviously, going into week 3.
Yeah, even though I've said I think Big Brain Esports will win out here, of course, for Benchwarmers, it's all about the numbers. They want to get those rounds on board, kind of close that differential that they've built up, and at least claw their way back up that leaderboard. I mean, at the end of the day, as we mentioned, it's all about the numbers. It's all about how you're doing relative to other teams, and of course, the round difference is what makes that difference. So, of course, Benchwarmers, look, the odds might not be in their favor, but they've definitely still got something to fight for. And if they can get those rounds on the board, then, it's still week 2 of the season. There's still a lot of other teams to be playing. They still are in with a chance here.
Yeah, it is very early pegging, and anything can really open up. I mean, as we've already mentioned, new players, new rosters, new names coming into this. I mean, it is really sort of, how is it going to go for that team chemistry-wise? We see a lot of roster shuffles across pretty much all the teams, I think. One of the only teams that has fully stayed together is going to be that mixture of Volts, Radical, and Warriors. So, and even then, I think they've had some roster changes. So, albeit the same, some difference between these. And that's definitely going to come into effect for all these teams. But Big Brain in the standings right now, completely undefeated. So they could keep that going like Warriors did it in the previous season, the completely undefeated run. Or we're going to see if they're going to take that first loss. But the game is live, Spud. We have readies from both of the teams. Let's get right on into it. Clubhouse, the new and refreshed with the bar site being changed since the last time I saw this casted, or at least last time I casted it. Spud, what are we thinking? What site first? Where are we going to kick things off?
Look, as much as CCTV is the preferred site, I do see teams that are going to the basement. It is sometimes a little bit less claustrophobic to defend. You've got that whole map to roam with and work. Well, so yeah, maybe they will go to basement first, but if things pan out as they usually do, CCTV will probably be the first site here.
Starting things off, as always, with the bands, Benchwarmers on the defense. They're going to get the privilege of banning an attacker first. Probably Thatcher Flores, if I had to put my number 2, and that is going to be Thatcher to go. Now, Mirror is an operator that we see sometimes left in on Clubhouse in favour of Cade, but depending on how these girls want to play, it is going to be relative to the bands. Second band to come out, Maverick or Flores. If I had to guess, Jackal. Okay, guess I'm wrong. What are we thinking on defense side of things, Spud?
You mentioned it already, but Kaid, I think, be a very static band. It does make getting, opening a little bit easier now that
unfortunately for Spud, we got a little bit of a robot impersonating you there. Valkyrie is going to be one to go, so Mirror could be left on the board here with the Cade to follow out for the final ban. I'd imagine there'll be one of the two, Cade or Mirror. Either way, the ban's now done. Mirror, the final defender to be sat down on the bench for this game. Benchwarmers, pun intended, are here to start us off on the defense. Round number 1, as you mentioned, Spud, downstairs is a viable choice, but it turns out CC is going to hold Pride and True for this first bomb site pick. Jaeger and Wamai on the board with an Aruni as well. So hard emphasis, it seems, on the wall, on the garage hold in the rafters here for them.
Yeah, interesting here that there's no bandit pick to hold onto that wall. With the mute, you do run the risk of being able to open the top of those walls, and with the Barna and the Maverick available, it is quite easy to get rid of that mute jammer. So at the same time, though, once you do have Maverick, Bandit, deal can open what you think. So might as well go for the mute, go for that extra intel denial, and hopefully play a slow game here. Slow down the attack, and use those power positions that they have as the defenders to kind of really make the attack work.
Yeah, especially if you can draw out all the utility. Obviously, with the Jaeger and the Wamai and the Aruni in play, it is going to be very difficult here for Big Brain to manage their utility properly if they haven't practiced it so beforehand. Obviously, they do have a lot of throwables on the board, but the new iteration of attack, a repick being used here by Fish Noodle, Sledge to the Thinker, forfeiting a large amount of their soft breach ability off for the stims and nades instead. So that's going to be even more utility on the board for them to dump into rafters here. Obviously, 6 flashbangs, and 4 grenades is a considerable amount of utility, as well as whatever that Zofia has left in the launcher. So Big Brain have a lot to deal with this garage hold, but they're more focused on the main wall here first, Spud. They're going to get that one open before they focus their attention elsewhere.
Yeah, that's always kind of the first step when you're going for a CCTV attack. In fact, a lot of attacks on Clubhouse, you're going to be opening to get that angle, and then you can start working out your options. You take it. The garage is a little bit difficult to go through, or I think they've already done that, is open up the garage. They do have the burner to work with, and that, of course, already opened up. So they've got all the necessary steps. It's just a matter now of taking that next step, getting those early picks, and starting to apply pressure onto the defenders.
Hard Explode taking a considerable amount of damage up on the rafters, 90 on the Wamai. He's got pressure now from the main breach and the bottom of garage, but Big Brain Esports yet to find that frag with the util to come through. Now, it is going to start for Chloe here. The first nade will come through, and that's a lovely throw, but somehow Hart survives. Finally, Meg will be the first to fall, and Big Brain open things up with a good kill on the downstairs roamers.
A good way to start things off. No C4 available anymore, and Hard Explode on low health means that, oh no. I'm not sure Yoshi is aware. She's looking just away, but she still has some sort of idea that LMG will win out that fight. That's 2 for Yoshi, and now it's a 2v5 and 1v5. Almost a flawless round, as now already on site, and now it's up to the last player, Arctic, to find 5 players.
Sophia with the diffuser. Luxie from the grave will take down Yoshi, but now in a 1 versus 4, Arctic needs to find 4. The bomb's still yet to go down, but it doesn't matter. Fish Noodle's there with the Thinker on the cross, and that is going to be the first round for the attack. Big Brain going to walk away with a very close to flawless round, and Benchwarmers unfortunately couldn't quite make that cash hold work.
Yeah, it all fell apart when that garage push came in. Yoshi able to just walk up the stairs and just wipe out all the players. 1 on rafters, 1, I believe it was red stairs, and 1 more just hanging around the bomb. And that's not something you want to be seeing as a defender. You want to be holding onto that garage power position, and especially holding that entry from the garage and up those stairs. So unfortunately for Hard Explode, she was in a bit of a tough predicament there. She was being held from that window from the breach. The grenades had come in. It's very difficult for her, so can't blame her entirely for having to hit the deck and just avoid some fire. But with that, it will be 1 round. Big Brain Esports.
There's a good bit of time wasting as well there for Benchwarmers. I liked the setup they had. They had the utility down below for the denial inside a lounge. Meg with the Nitro on the mute. They also had the Jaeger down there for the cover, but Big Brain, Burner Bear walks into stock, clears out that downstairs Nitro presence, and then forces Jaeger back with the Nomad charges set up. And it just completely cut off anything that Benchwarmers had set up for that denial from downstairs. Now, obviously, very favourable for Big Brain, but now it looks like they're completely changing some of their setup here on the defense side of things to try and counter that stock walk-in. They've got the hatch open inside of Con. They've got some vertical holes as well inside of Cash near the green box. So good to see them making the changes that they need here, but I'd imagine Big Brain are going to be doing their best to counteract as well.
Yeah, so far, this has been a very efficient in opening up the walls they need The Barna already, opening up the garage wall so peak angles onto that rafters window, and I assume they're going to be opening up that big breach as well. L now actually peeking back through this hole through from the lounge, looking for a peek, but will be droned out and will be forced to fall back here.
No presence just yet from Bernabé, but a lot of damage dealt through the door means that it is going to force the Aruni down into the blue generator side and away from that stop control. He's going to come straight back up secret, though, to regress into lounge. However, the presence is now there for Big Brain. They have the players towards the bottom of garage. They have the drones coming in, and they're going to be looking to try and clear Wamai out here. He's still holding strong. Hard Explode doing well with the utility in play. We do hear those discs start to do their job, but with only a minute and a half left, this is definitely better from Benchwarmers.
Yeah, so far they've done a pretty good job of slowing down this attack. Although, as we speak, Cheese will actually make her way up rafters, and of course, as we mentioned last time, this is where things started falling apart. And I believe my internet is dying again. And Meg, however, will survive the down. Yoshi, however, finds a refrag, but from though, will even it back out.
Unfortunate for Spud. I think his internet is still having a word with itself. All the same, 4v4 here with a minute left, so a lot of time for both teams to work with. Garage control is in the favour of Big Brain here. L down below, however, is going to be a big factor, especially with Meg now finding that kill onto Yoshi as well. L as well to add on to Burnabear. Now a 2 versus 4. Chloe and Cheese. Chloe's going to go straight through the breach and find 2. Bomb now going down. L from below could be huge on the denial if she can get the shots off through the floor. However, Arctic hesitant to peek back in through the condor. It's going to be a re-aggression through the bottom of garage. The bomb's going to go down, but the breach play is available here for Big Brain and Benchwarmers. They're going to have to do something huge to clutch out this 2v2. L with low HP. Arctic is still 100 and ready to go, but Chloe has stayed in the site. She's got the angles held. The Z-pings are there. That's the 3rd kill for Chloe, looking for the 4th. Hasn't quite found the head of Arctic, who has made her way to the top of red and now needs to get back into cash. But Chloe is ready to take this fight. With the M4 in hand, switches to the pistol, spots the feet, the spray from the Jaeger, but unfortunately doesn't connect. Chloe is there to find 4 on a huge entry for Big Brain, and Benchwarmers just can't hold on.
Well, there's also some great drone work there, so being fed from Cheesebender's drones, spotting out Ellie in that lounge area and preventing her from doing any damage into the garage. And of course, that meant that ultimately they were able to take garage on the attack, and as we mentioned, that is a key position they need to be working at. And yeah, it's worked out once again for Big Brain Esports.
Really well done from them. I mean, a 2 versus 4. 2 low HP players, but Chloe gets it done. She was straight in, top red, found 2 frags, top red and in cash, and then just cleaned up what was left of the retake attempt from Benchwarmers, who now obviously are going to be switching off from CC cash, which seems to be something they're struggling with. And they're going to go downstairs for that more turtle-style hold. It doesn't... Well, actually, no, I say that. They do have the castle in play on Hard Explode, so it could be an attempted roam here from them. All the same, Big Brain have been adapting really well so far to the strategies Benchwarmers have been employing. So, are we going to see that kept up here on the bottom floor, or is this turtle style going to sort of slow them down a little bit, do you think, Spud?
10 seconds left before insertion.
Look, so far, I think we've seen from that last round that Benchwarmers might be onto something here. They have managed to slow down Big Brain Esports attack quite a lot, and especially in that last round, it turned into a 2v4. It was almost in, Benchwarmers' round. So if they can capitalize on that, work out what went well and what didn't go so well, and learn from those mistakes, I think Benchwarmers could definitely clinch out a round here from Big Brain Esports.
Yeah, they seem to know what they want to be doing here in these rounds. Now, we do see a little bit of a roam employed here on the top floor. It is going to be Arctic on her lonesome. Some pressure from the jacuzzi wall now, but that drone at the top of main, unfortunately not spotted out by the Malusi, is going to mean that Big Brain have all the information in the world on her whereabouts, and that's going to force her back to Con to play closer to her teammate, who unfortunately is going to fall to Yoshi very early inside of Cash, already taking some very aggressive control here for Big Brain, but that is a good pick for them to find in the first minute here. Could find 2. Some good damage dealt. Arctic will actually find the down onto Yoshi, and with no one close by, the refrag is not available. It's going to be made a 4 versus 4 here, and that's a good start for both teams.
Yeah, getting that early first pick and then, of course, getting the refrag is really important. But Bernabeu, once again, will find another. And with that sledge close by, it would have been very difficult for Arctic to get out of there alive. Well, with 2 players down against their 1, that's definitely a man advantage for Big Brain Esports. But they still need to find their way onto site. And, with this total defense, they've got the castle barricades to slow things down. They've got the Maestro and the Intel. This could be really difficult if they don't get a hurry on.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of denial left on the board with the Maestro and the Smoke in hand, so it's going to be difficult here for Big Brain if not executed correctly. But given that they still have 1 minute and 20 seconds-ish left to play with, the round is going to be, well, a lot easier for them in the sense that they have the time to prepare for this execute. They're going to take their time, they're going to open up the hatches. These girls know what they want to do here. They know how they want to play it. Moto now opened up, is going to have an avenue for Chloe to try and peek onto site, but main is still available for them here as well. So Benchwarmers need to pick what they want to hold on to here and try and figure out where this execute's going to be.
Attempting to go for this with Impact trick here, but we'll make that a little bit more difficult. Impact doesn't quite get the right spot. Going for that Impact trick now, I'm not sure if it quite worked. You do have to open up the floor beforehand. And with that now, one more down as well. Bernabeu actually will go down, not quite finished off yet. 20 seconds though, and this is not looking good for Big Brain.
It's going to be a team fight here, 4 versus 3. It's going to have to be a church force with the bottom main pressure now from Cheese. Chloe is going to be first to drop the hatch, and she's going to take the entry here. Will go down to Meg with the Alder, but very quickly refragged by Bernabeu. Smoke here to stop the push. Will force the Nomad back into the hallway. Luxie's going to go down, however, Fish Noodle is there to find one. Heart explodes. Will take down Fish Noodle, but Cheese is there for the refrag. Big Brain Esports are going to go undefeated so far and find their 3rd. Benchwarmers still left trailing, now down 0-3.
I'm not quite sure what happened there. I thought it was a Benchwarmers round. They had the man advantage. They had time on their side, but Big Brain just went Galaxy Brain, honestly. They just walked into sight and just took everyone out. And yeah, that was it. And I guess it really goes to show the power of those refrags. I mean, we saw it early on, Benchwarmers getting some refrags of their own, but Big Brain getting more value out of that, getting the extra player from those trades. Ultimately, that was what cost them the round. That was what won Big Brain the round, and Benchwarmers need to think a little bit about how that end game played out.
Smoke was huge there for Benchwarmers. Unfortunately, didn't have enough stopping power to stop Big Brain coming through that Moto door. And I mean, albeit very close again for them, Spud. It seems like that is the tail of the match, though. Benchwarmers get so close, but unfortunately, so far, Big Brain just keep clutching these rounds away, even from positions that they shouldn't be winning them in, 2 versus 4s, etc., etc. I mean, Meg in prime position there with the Alder, but taken down, just put through the blender. I mean, what, Nomad and Chloe shooting at the same time, just put that Maestro out of commission so quickly. And a lot of the gunning power that Benchwarmers had was just instantly gone. Now, Elle, unfortunately, not going to be able to get the reinforcements up on the cash wall due to the time constraints that she is going to be facing. However, the hatch is going to be the second choice. But downstairs is going to be a second attempt here for Benchwarmers, and Big Brain, they look like they're just going to do exactly what they did in the previous round. Top down with the roam clear, play for those trades, and try and get an early pick.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's working out pretty well for them. The thing I would be concerned about is but hey, once they get into the swing of things, once they figure out how this is all playing out, I think this could work out for them. And they've been doing things efficiently, well, methodically, and run as well. There's good drone work, there's good coordination. We see the 2 players pinching Fish Noodle on the young side and coming in through the cash side. Overall, it's going pretty well. It's just a matter of time here.
Speaking of time, good time wasting here from Benchwarmers. 1 minute now gone, still holding on to control of the second floor here, and Big Brain are only just coming down the main stairs. That's 1 minute wasted, and no kills on the board for either team, which is a lot better than the previous round. Obviously, a 2-for-1 was not in favour of the defense. However, now, still a 5 versus 5 with 1 minute and 30 left, and it's actually going to force Big Brain to play some vertical here onto the bar side of things, but it's good positioning from Benchwarmers, one situated inside of the bathroom and one inside of the bar itself. So if they can hold on to this position for an extended amount of time, it's obviously going to prove pretty fruitful for them. But saying that, L is going to go down. So is our audio, but Yosh is there for 2. Arctic and L both fall on the roam, and that's both of those roamers cleared out in less than 5 seconds.
Well, I thought they had some resistance there. I liked how they're falling back from the top floor, holding onto that middle floor in the bathroom and the bar of falling back. But unfortunately, it was not. Yoshi with the LMG just wipes them off and out of play here. And with a minute left still to work with, play that vertical. And what a man advantage here. Once again, we could see a flood onto site from Big Brain Esports to take away the round.
Now, unfortunately, here for Benchwarmers, it's going to be a similar position that they found themselves in the previous round. Whether or not they can hold on to this 5 versus 3, going to get some good damage off, and actually Chloe to fall. Heart Explodes finding an opener with Yoshi on low HP as well. The MP5 paying dividends. Heart Explodes finds a second from inside of Moto with the hatch still yet to be opened up, and this could be a huge issue for Big Brain. Luxy as well finding one, but the refrag is there from Fish Noodle. Or should I say the trade as Meg goes down, but 2 very low HP players make it 1 as Cheese takes down Heart Explodes. Luxy left in the 1 versus 2. Bomb yet to hit the floor. It's going to have to be a plant here from Big Brain. The bomb now to go down. The cover is there from Fish Noodle, but the Maestro Cams providing information for this retake. It is going to be the post-plant situation. 1 smoke left to work with in the SMG-11 in hand. It's going to be a dream here for Benchwarmers if they can find their first. Toxic Canister will be deployed, but 2 players left for Big Brain in good post-plant positions. Luxy's going to have to find short of a miracle here if she wants to clutch out this 1 versus 2.
It's ticking down now. Not much left to work with. It's almost time for Big Brain Esports to know they've won the round, and won't even get down to that. Fish Noodle will be able to find that last kill. And with that, a 4th round for Big Brain Esports, undefeated so far.
I mean, Big Brain, they're showing us how big their brain really is. 4-0 on their attacking side, which is not something... I mean, usually Clubhouse would be considered more of a defender-sided map, depending on who you ask. Now, obviously right now it is more of the attacker-sided map, but I think that sort of really just nods to how well Big Brain are playing it. Every round we've seen good roam clears from them, good trades coming in. They have players close by to play those contacts. Their swings, their utility usage, albeit the Moto hatch not opened, unfortunately, that round for them until quite late, I believe, but still managed to make it work. Did go down to a 3v3 from a 5v3 and ultimately a 2 versus 2 clutch, but the job was done nonetheless, and you do have to give it to them. Benchwarmers have, again, been so close, but they just can't convert these rounds into one of their own. And now it's going to be attempt at the top floor, master bedroom and gym instead of CC or downstairs as their final sight and their final hope to get some rounds on the board before the split spud.
Yeah, I think this speaks to, how well Big Brain Esports are playing and the kind of mentality that's going on here, especially at the end of these rounds. When they're running out of time, when they've lost players and not in the best position, they're still able to pull it together and, come out on top in these engagements. I think, that really speaks to how well they're playing together as a team. And the kind of synergy that they've got working together. So props to them for that, and hopefully that can carry them throughout the rest of this map.
Some good employments here from Benchwarmers. I think Frost is going to be something that is of note here. Good operator to bring, however, unfortunately, doesn't seem to be paying dividends for them. So maybe a Legion or something might have been the choice. But Frostmats are still something that can catch you off guard, even as the most experienced player in a group. But Cheese, starting things off, is going to find the first frag onto L, who was trying to peek those master windows. But unfortunately, it's not going to prove too much. Now, looking at the site setup here, if Big Brain can see what we can see, this could be a rush straight onto the site. Not really any sort of holes there for the peak. And the door castled off could mean that Big Brain are on for a very quick plant here, Spud. But especially in the man disadvantage for Benchwarmers, this could be big for them.
Yeah, to really hold that window, you do need that player in CCTV to play across. But I think I'm not sure if that player is still around. Yep, still there at least, and Hard Explode will find one, and Arctic another now. For once, man advantage actually back in Benchwarmer's favor, and all they need to do now is hold on to this. If they can get this at least this round, it will break the pacing that Big Brain Esport has set, and maybe change things up for the better.
Good nade there from the main window. Yoshi is going to be able to down and confirm Burnabear is going to be able to down and confirm onto Arctic. But there we go. The bomb now going down. Burnabear to find a second onto Hard Explodes. And it is going to be a post plant because Chloe somehow made her way into the bathroom as well, I'm assuming, from the main breach. And now the retake here from Luxy and Meg. The Frost and the Aruni. Some good damage dealt to Burnabear here in the early seconds of this round. But Meg is going to be the first to aggress back onto the site, peeking towards the main window, but a very quick double kill. Fish and Chloe are going to find one each and end that round out with the finger boost in style. And Big Brain, that is a 5-0 for them, looking for the flawless half here, Spud, going into the split.
Yeah, so far I've been seeing a lot of plants going on here. I believe that's been 3 plants that we've seen, and all of them
3.
Of course, going in favor of the attack there. So I think that really speaks about how Big Brain is executing. They've got their big game plan, how they're going to open things up, how they're going to roam clear, get onto site, and then go for that execute. And ultimately, Benchwarmers need to be a little bit more prepared for that final stage of the fight. That execute is where it's falling apart. They're wasting good time early on in the roams, and we've seen it multiple times, but it's just at that end, when Big Brain go for that explosive entry, that Benchwarmers just seem not to be in the right positions or losing their gunfights, the critical gunfights. And that's where it's kind of falling apart.
Yeah, I think the entry potential for Big Brain is huge. I mean, you've got fraggers, known fraggers as well on those roles. Burnabear, Chloe, Yoshi as well. Fish has even been known to frag once a time. So it is something to take into consideration when we do look at these rounds that go from, a 3 versus 5 in Benchwarmer's favor down to a round win for Big Brain. Because it just highlights how well this team can attack, even with a deficit. And Benchwarmers, they do make the changes. They know what they need to be doing, and they put it into practice, which is good. We are seeing change from them throughout the rounds, but unfortunately, it just isn't paying off. Big Brain they have the number of the defense right now.
It's working out so well, and if we just look at the scoreboard, Yoshi on 7 and 5, Fish Needle 5 and 2 as well, and so Chloe and Bernard as well. They're all doing really, really well. But of course, Cheese also pulling her weight. A lot of drone work from Cheese and gets critical picks and critical entries at when Habana just walks into site and takes out those last players. So definitely, the entire team here pulling their weight and working very, very well as a unit.
Also, can I highlight some absolutely exquisite Maverick work there from Chloe on that main breach? Do you have to highlight a good Maverick player when you see it? Mm-hmm. It is something to revel at. But Meg actually almost close to die, but isn't the first to go down. Hard Explodes will be taken out by Chloe as we speak. She shall do some work. Now, Arctic obviously in the same position we saw her in last time in the bathroom, but we do see Big Brain kind of stacking up on these main windows here again. Now, it kind of begs the question, is it going to be a similar sort of plant attempt that we saw from them in the previous round? Chloe is going to land that nade again. Same way that Arctic died in the previous is going to be exactly how she goes down again here. So a 3 versus 5 for Benchwarmers. The round that they need to keep them in this game, morale, chemistry, everything, and that is the frag that could start it all. Fish Noodle to fall, Meg to find the opener. Luxy will go down to Burnabear, however, making it a 2 versus 4, so it gets a little bit harder here for Benchwarmers, but definitely doable. Okay, Chloe finding L, Meg on low HP in a 1 versus 4. I'm not liking the chances here, Spud, especially on the rotate back to site.
Yeah, already got her number there with the peaky holes from construction. Plant goes down once, and there isn't really much way she can get back. In fact, there will be none. Burnabear will shut her down right at the end. And with that, 6 rounds, uncontested 6-0.
It's a huge 6-0 half there for Big Brain. I mean, Spud, I think you've read the cards pretty well here into the possibility of a Big Brain dub, because I say possibility, could be the reverse sweep that we all want to see here, but with Benchwarmers going onto the attack and Big Brain going onto the defense, things definitely are going to be difficult for Benchwarmers to win 6 in a row. As I said, this map tending to be defender-sided. Obviously, we're going to see if that is the case, if Big Brain can make this a quick 7-0, maybe even a 7-1. But, I mean, look, right now, how things have played out, Big Brain have definitely shown us how big their brain is, and they are sort of just dominating. 6-0, I mean, there's no other word really that I can use to describe how this has panned out so far. Big Brain have just outperformed, unfortunately, on most of these rounds, and it does show in the round count.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of adaptation from them as well, and reading how the defense is set up. I mean, for example, we saw very heavy CCTV holds in that last 2 gym bedroom defenses. The Big Brain simply just chose to ignore it, and ultimately didn't have much of an effect. They cleared out that bathroom player, and then they were able to just walk through main breach, just jump into gym, and that player over in CCTV, not much they could do. So I really like how they're choosing to avoid those strong points and instead pick at the weak points here. But on defense now, will they be able to present a kind of uniform defensive shell against Benchwarmers' attack? That is now the question as we go on to match point.
Interesting vertical holes here are going to expose the legs of Chloe if she doesn't move. So hopefully she's going to play somewhere near top red for a little bit more safety. But albeit here, I mean, Benchwarmers right now, a really big task has been presented to them. But Burnabear to go down early on, that is a great way to start things off here for them, opening things up with a Nitro off the board, as well as one of the top fraggers for Big Brain. And I mean, that is huge for them to start things off. Shot their own drone there, unfortunately, which is going to slow down their bar presence a little bit. But all the same, the frag on the board is going to be huge, and good stock control so far, looking to make their way up into Master with the Yana clone. Everything is going well here so far for Benchwarmers in the opener of this round.
Yeah, I think this is the first time in a while we've seen an opening pick from Bench, but as we see, Caster Curse strikes once again. Another will go down, and that makes it 4-4 again. Man count back even once again. And I was going to say, with allowing down to last minute executes, you want that extra manpower to flood onto site. But alas, now it's not to be for a piece.
4 apiece here, looking for the second frag. Echo. Chloe on that drone has definitely proven to be quite a scary prospect, peeking down those red stairs really aggressively here for Big Brain. But I mean, it's paid dividends for them so far with Zoph off the board. That's a big kill to find. Unfortunately for Luxie, though, she's going to jump her drone right into the waiting mute jammer. Speaking of mute jammers, we do apologize for the audio bug, obviously, ladies and gentlemen. Not too much that we can do about it at the moment, albeit the remainder of this round, Spud. Only a minute left. The good Tachanka utility coming out here, though, for the Big Brain girls. They've got a good amount of denial, especially with Yoshi now finding that kill, and Diffuser down in comp.
This is a bit of an awkward moment here, unfortunately not droned out correctly, I believe. The mute down, and Yoshi will be able to find a second. Aren't quite aware of her position. Surely by now they've figured out that someone is holding the Diffuser there, but with only 2 players remaining against the 4, this is once again very, very difficult situation. Made that 1 player now, and none. Yoshi will find that last kill, and with that, no rounds for Benchwarmers 7.
GG's in chat from everybody involved, and a clean surgical 7-0 for Big Brain Esports. You do have to give it to them. Unfortunately, Benchwarmers just could not find their stride in this match here tonight. And Big Brain just walked away with it. Yoshi on 10, Chloe on 9, Burnabear on 7. I mean, some huge kills across the board there for Big Brain. But the scoreline, as I said, it shows how huge these girls went. 7-0 week 2. First week was a 7-1 for them. They definitely have a good amount of momentum going into the third, and some good morale after that win. Very, very big congratulations for them. Unfortunately, though, Benchwarmers, they just couldn't find their go tonight, Spot.
Yeah, that's not to say it was all terrible. We did some good time wasting. A lot of rounds, honestly, which almost went in Benchwarmers' favor. It could easily have been a 7-3, 7-4 even. So, you know, so very, very close. And I definitely think with a bit of work, could have made, a couple more rounds. But the learning experience, hopefully they do go back and kind of figure out what went wrong, and next week come back even stronger.
I concur. From what you gathered of that, ladies and gentlemen, I do agree. I do definitely agree. Some good siege played here tonight, but that is the end of game one. A very quick 7-0 for Big Brain Benchwarmers, unfortunately not finding around tonight or the win. But we are going to cut to a very short break, and we will be back momentarily with Warriors Esports versus Vertex. So don't go anywhere. Go get a drink. Upload your clips from the first game tonight for the Clip of the Week submissions, and we'll be back shortly.
Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now. Everybody talk. I just get it done. Everybody talk. I just get it done.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from our short intermission. Some changes have been made. We've put RoboSpud on charge, and we have employed the help of the lovely Cthulhu. Welcome to the second half of the broadcast.
Thank you, Proto. Honestly, yeah, look, keen to see what we could have for our second round of games for tonight, given the fact that we've already seen a rather spicy conclusion to a rather rapid speed run that was done in the match number one. And look, overall, I believe we also had the conclusions of all of our other off-stream games as well. And yeah, there we have it, the 7-0 in favor of Big Brain Esports, Radical Rebels getting a win against Volpes, Altered Edge taking a rather also definitive dub over Triarai in a 7-1. So the only thing that is remaining is the Vertex versus Vodafone Warriors Esports, which could be a bit of a banger.
I definitely think banger is the word that I would use to describe this matchup. It is going to be a clash of the titans. This, I would imagine, going into it is definitely not going to be a 7-1. I could still be surprised, but going off the rosters that both of these teams possess, and obviously the Warriors being our previous season champions, it's going to be the battle for, well, so far, probably one of the best games we've seen. This is the Vertex roster, though. Cthulhu, Cass, Buddha, Hazel, Sarah, and Serenity, with subs, Crescent, and Peepo as well on the board. So some big names there from the previous season, and a couple of new names as well coming into this season.
Absolutely, yeah. A little bit of a new blood to be brought into the roster is certainly looking to be rather promising. But overall, yeah, a strong, very well-balanced roster with quite a fair few players who already had plenty of Women's League experience as well. So should be a relatively straightforward, really, objective for them to play it out and see essentially which roster will be the better one.
But obviously, we're going to have to play that game. Who are they going up against? You already know the New Zealand Warriors coming in. KT, Time for Pie, Soy, Aussie Princess, and AJ Tiger, with the subs, Sav, Beans, and Mons. As we've already mentioned, undefeated in the previous season of the Women's League and the overall champions. Absolutely. Coming into this season. A huge roster.
Yeah, look, the one of the best rosters to date that has been within Women's League. An absolutely stunning performance that they've been putting out previously in the previous season, and already kicked off week one as well with an absolutely phenomenal scoreline for themselves. So going into week two, they are looking to keep themselves running, albeit this one has to be one of the more closest matchups, I'd say, throughout the whole season for them.
Well, speaking of matchup, where is this bout going to take place? Our map for this evening, none other than everybody's favourite, Oregon. Ladies and gentlemen, we had the club, we had the Oregon. I said it at the start. It is OCE, it is standard competitive, standard strategy. Club, Oregon, and Cafe. They're the three maps, Cthulhu, and we've already got two of them tonight on this broadcast. It's good to see that theme didn't get taken so early on, but didn't make it through.
Yeah, look, rather unfortunate to see that some of the more newer maps have been banned out and will continue to be rather kind of be kept on the bench. Bank being kind of outed. One of the maps that has slowly but surely been inserting itself rather thoroughly inside the Tier 1 competition, but within grassroots / Tier 2 and Tier 3, things haven't been looking that pretty for the bank. Same goes for Theme Park, Skyscraper, and Border. The maps, the newest introductions, unfortunately, really didn't make it, but at the end of the day, well, the Borgen is all that we get, and well, I think the reaction of the audience would be just about the same.
We do be sleeping, but let's get right on into it. Oregon, Snoregan, Borregan, whatever you want to call it, is where we are going tonight for Vertex versus the New Zealand Warriors and Cthulhu. This map is one that it has survived the test of time. It has been here since the beginning, and it is still here now, haunting us to this day. How do you think this is going to pan out? Both of these teams, two huge rosters going up against it. Do you think we're going to see something interesting, or do you think we're just going to see run-of-the-mill, basic Oregon gameplay? What are you thinking?
Look, I think this is definitely at its base going to be very much of a core kind of by-the-book Oregon that we've sort of grown accustomed to see, albeit for a team like Warriors and a team like Vertex, they two teams that have been showing us a few experimental setups, so I wouldn't put it past that we could be seeing something unusual to come out from them. But in saying that as well, it's still going to be a very much, I would imagine, very anchor-heavy setup from the defense, at least, of Vertex. So, saying that, though, Flores being banned out is a rather kind of almost a norm nowadays, especially on Oregon, the operator from Argentina, just feeling a little bit too strong nowadays.
Yeah, the Rotiro drones are definitely a big issue on a map like Oregon that is very shield dependent. Thatcher, obviously, to follow it up, leaving only Maverick as the real wall opener here. So obviously, it is going to be a relatively default side of bans. Valkyrie, obviously, to follow along, which I will say is quite interesting given her recent nerf. Obviously, cameras now no longer will survive outside for longer than 10 seconds for the defense, albeit still a very powerful operator. So, yes, but other operators could possibly have been more useful. Maybe Mirror, who is going to get taken out, but Cade now obviously on the board, Cthulhu.
Yeah, indeed. But look, and to kind of return to the whole talk about Valkyrie, at this point, really, how many really outside cameras have we actually seen within the competitive siege? The answer being usually not a whole lot. So mostly, yes, whilst the rework is rather big and it does limit to a certain degree how flexible can Valkyrie be, she's still a very deadly force because her MPX steal a beam, her utility within the building, absolutely amazing. C4 on top of it all, plus a dig to make some wider openings in the soft walls. Hell yeah, you got it, literally the whole shebang at your disposal, ready to roll, and on top of it, very flexible in regards to the speed and the armor operator. So through and through, yeah, look, still a very powerful operator, so no wonder she gets banned out, especially on a map like Oregon with so many absolutely destructible floors. So you could tuck those Valkyrie cameras pretty much everywhere. And well, Mira being banned out, look, it's basically a no-brainer nowadays, especially for something like a hold of the upstairs or even the laundry. The Spaniard is just an absolutely deadly pick.
Mirror, definitely. Something that had to go, but all the same. Top floor here, the first bomb site in play for Vertex, and speaking of the Cade, he has made his first appearance to be the primary wall denial here for Vertex. So pretty standard setup from them that we can see. Wamai and Jaeger both in play, which is obviously going to be relatively required. Looking at the Warriors setup here, 6 frag grenades and Zophia's utility on the board, as well as the 3 flashbangs from Aussie here. So a lot of util is going to be required to clear. But all the same, Warriors starting things off as always. A good roam clear for them. It's going to be the key to their success.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, nice, slow, methodical kind of approach by Warriors here so far. They are looking to take control of the tower in a rather convincing fashion and rather quickly, which is exactly what's going to be conducted here. There is, I believe, presence at the end of the attic as well, so maybe a Cade tricking is going to be to a certain degree in place, but quick opener by Cripsty will be meaning that, well, plenty of projectiles can now be sent through that hole, and, well, yeah, for Cass, time to go.
It's going to have to either be a retreat or a dump of utility here, one of the two, but Warriors are going to have to make their choice on what they want to start doing in regards to clearing out this Remire Shield. Obviously, there is some information, but there's the first frag to kick things off. Soy takes down Buddha, I believe, just inside of Trophy on the swing there, and that is going to be a good kill to find for Warriors, especially being that is smoke off the board early on here for the defense, and that is not the play you want to be losing first.
Absolutely, Smoke would have been an absolutely huge operator close to the conclusion of the round, but unfortunately for Buddha, that was not the case. Another frag grenade is being cooked up to see if it can get rid of some of the utility, but no, thankfully the Jaeger ADS is also there, so thankfully, second one does do the better job, so as it stands, quite a fair bit of utility has been drained out, but for Warriors, not really leaving themselves a lot of ground for the movement with only a minute remaining.
The pre-fire from Time for Pi takes down Cass on that shield, almost finding the second through the wall, but unfortunately not fruitful on the kill. Sarah stands strong deep inside of the kids' dorms here, and in a 5 versus 3 with only 50 seconds left to play with Warriors, they're going to be looking for that execute. The main wall is available to be breached here, and in fact it has already been opened up. It's going to have to be the post plants, with Soy finding a second onto Hazel as she rotates towards White. That is not good for Vertex. Serenity takes a considerable amount of damage as well, but on a 5 versus 2, they find 2 quick kills to make things a little bit easier for them. The bomb now going down, Aussie to find one onto Serenity. The plant's going to go off. Sarah's going to be left in a 1v3.
Well, just as you say that, though, unfortunately, Sarah's health pool has been completely reduced down to 0, and really, well, that's a rather demanding, or not demanding, but rather dominating push by Vodafone Warriors, and them doing a really solid job overall. I have to say, though, the setup so far, you looked at the defense of Vertex, they had a relatively sound setup, and everything looked fine. It more so came down to some of the swings, some of the mechanical gunfights, just things didn't either work out, or the timing just flat out didn't work in favor of the defense. And from there on, it kind of all felt like a bit of a snowball effect with the way how just the peaks came out, the unfortunate positioning of the Jaeger as well, just being kind of almost out in the open, exposed to multiple angles, just far too many things just left unchecked, and from there on, it was a rather clean play by Warriors.
Yeah, Warriors were just able to capitalize on all of that sort of misfortune, really. It was very unfortunate for Vertex. I mean, as you have already highlighted, really good setup from them. They had the roam, they had the denial, they had everything they needed to make that a good top floor hold, but the Warriors just picked it apart. They did lose 2 kills in the 5v2 there, which could have cost them if they'd managed to find a couple more. Unfortunately, Warriors were ready for it. They had the refrags, and ultimately, obviously, now the round. We are doing a quick rehost, though, due to the lovely sound issues that keep plaguing everybody's ears and our games. So hopefully that can be resolved momentarily for everybody watching at home. But Cthulhu, obviously now from round 1, defense, they're going to have the opportunity to either change up the site or go upstairs again. What are you thinking? Do you think they're going to give it another crack, given that they were pretty close and well set up for that? Or do you think they're going to forfeit it and go straight downstairs to try and get that round secured on the board?
I'm tempted to actually say that they might try to do a retry of the top floor, because if not for the fact that the smoke went down rather early, so say keep the smoke at the back of the site, have somebody like maybe a Womai, maybe like a Jaeger playing around that similar position, but in a much more safer environment, and kind of just hold for essentially the attack to swing you rather than you swinging the attack, we could possibly be seeing a completely different turnaround for Vertex. Because, again, it's a still very able roster of players. So we're not discarding them straight from the get-go. It's definitely not about the matchup of David and Goliath, albeit going into this matchup, Vodafone Warriors are the ones to be the favorites. But yeah, it ultimately kind of came down to those opening frags that just opened a very wide window of opportunity for them to push through different avenues. And from there on, for Vertex, not a whole lot of wiggle room was made, which at the conclusion, no matter how many frags you would have done, even if it was let's say a 2v2 with a plan down, there's so many just positions that Vertex players would have had to check before the actual gunfight would have commenced that by that time would have been literally no time to really defuse.
I mean, the utility frags alone, Smoke to go first, Wamai to follow. That is two big utilitarian operators taken off the board really quickly. I mean, Wamai obviously over time gathers more discs, etc., and then Smoke purely just for the denial, which wasn't there for them. The Nitro did come out there from Sarah at the end, but as we all know, didn't connect. Fortunately, didn't really net anything for Vertex. So they have the building blocks, but I think you've sort of highlighted it well. I definitely think they will give it another go. Play that Smoke in a less aggressive position, possibly. Look for maybe a switch up on how they hold Attic, possibly, because it was a very big point of contention for Warriors. They had, I believe, 3 people over in Big Tower at one point working on that wall. So something to take into consideration if you are the defense. Obviously, you got to be worried about Pit. You got to be worried about Attic. You got to be worried about the kids' window repel. There's so many things going on here for Vertex. But, I mean, they almost dealt with it really well given the deficit they found themselves in. So could be the Vertex round. You never know. But we don't even know if they're going to go that side again because we're still waiting on the rehost to come through, ladies and gentlemen. So bear with us. We do hope that it can come on through quickly.
Look, actually, we do have, whilst we do have that buffer of time, we do actually get to talk to maybe and Theorycraft about what maybe different picks we could really go for, say for Vertex, when it comes down to the defense. You play at least a little bit and dabble in some competitive play and used to play competitively before. Say from your position, would it made sense to change some things around, say bring in an extra mute to try to shut down the info gathering play and just force the Warriors to essentially go face check around the corners, or would it just literally just go down yet again to just mechanical skill and the swings?
I think aggression would be something that Vertex could employ here really well.
Okay.
Given how, they know that the Maverick hole is going to be opened up for those deep nades, they know that they're going to have to open up that close prone hole. Something of note that I sort of realized is the only hole that was opened by the Maverick inside of Attic was the top nade hole and the rotate hole. If you have someone playing close on that wall, they could maybe get a pick through that rotate hole and then rotate off, something like that. Even aggression towards Trophy. I mean, Smoke tried it, but obviously ill-advised, too far back. It wasn't shotgun range and that fight was lost. But I mean, albeit aggression for Vertex is going to be something that they're going to have to utilize, but also sort of refrain from using in certain situations. And I think we definitely saw some over-aggression from them in that previous round. But if they can dial it back, I mean, Vodafone Warriors, they're a very aggressive team naturally. They use their drones very well. They know they have that mechanical skill. They rely quite heavily on finding some early picks before they go for those executes, albeit their executes as well are pretty good. But Vertex, obviously, it's going to be whether or not they can deal with the Warriors or not, obviously with the bans as well. Flores and Valk being off, Thatcher as well, and then Mirror. I mean, it really hinders both sides. Thatcher and Flores on the attack, you don't have that wall ability. That's why they bring the Maverick in. But if they bring in the Valk and the Mirror on the defense, obviously that round could have been completely different. But at the end of the day, I think aggression is going to be the big thing for Vertex. They're going to have to deal with it as well as dish it, and that will be the deciding factor for them and whether or not they get any significant number of rounds in this matchup after the rehost.
So the main kind of takeaway from this will be just try to stick to the momentum play and just don't let yourself kind of deflate almost amidst all of the chaos and amidst this kind of quite a bit of a lengthy tech pause. So look, yeah, definitely will agree with you. Something that is going to be very, very big to really think about is the ability to just stay kind of all well warmed up and ready to roll without really losing the grip, losing the edge. So I believe we finally do have the good to go finally. So we are going back to the game, and look, round 2 upon us. Laundry room is actually going to be the pick, and we are finally back. Once again, it's a good idea to I would say to kind of switch things around, not get locked into a singular side. And it seems like that is actually the case for Vertex with the introduction of Thorn as well.
Yeah, Thorn is an operator that I'm still coming to terms with in terms of usefulness. Obviously, she does bring a shield, which is pretty good. Her gadget, 50-50, on the fence a little bit. Her gun, obviously, very good as well. Laser beam, 20-something bullets, really good gun. But the issue is the ability isn't quick enough to deal damage most of the time. It is more of a sound cue. It's sort of a Melusi replacement, if you will.
Right. A spicy Melusi.
Or at least that's how I've seen teams use it. I'm not too sure. She's possibly a lot more useful than I've seen her be, but I guess we'll see now. Can Hazel prove to us the usefulness of Thorn? But yeah, I mean, downstairs is definitely a bit more of a safety pick, a bit of a cushion pick here for Vertex to try and get these rounds on the board, because we've seen Warriors do it before. When they build that momentum up, it is pretty hard to stop the hype train.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, the moment they find their confidence and they realize that, yeah, all right, we got the trail, we got this, gamers, and yeah, this is where they just an absolutely unstoppable force. I'll definitely have to agree with you here, Proto. But yeah, look, I'm certainly curious to see what could be done. On paper, yeah, look, Thorn's utility could be that kind of the spicy motion kind of alarm, motion tracker. It could be the playing in tandem with some of the other trap operators, like, say, for example, Ella, so stun and then the mine being activated. But again, because you also get plenty of notifications, including the visual notification that the Thorn mine is going off somewhere close by, it's more so just a factor of kind of how quickly you react. So certainly keen to see what would be the end outcome of it all. Which the one thing that is rather alarming is the fact that the initial gunfights weren't really taken to the absolute confidence from Vertex, which could mean that maybe they're still kind of settling in with a new roster.
Yeah, I think the shuffle is definitely going to be sort of having a little bit of a play on their mind here, because we definitely have a mixture of a few rosters in culmination in terms of players here. But with Soy finding Hazel to open things up there, that is going to be a good pick to find. So the Thorn, unfortunately, not doing too much in this round. Her gadget's still effective after death, so maybe some kills yet for Hazel to come in this round, but she's going to be sitting it out on cams for the remainder. And that's a good opening pick for Warriors as well to find.
Yeah, rather unfortunate turnout for Hazel, given that her setup was looking rather promising, but alas, it is what it is. For now, few vertical setups. Soy has an actually kind of dirty angle, and Buddha, I don't think she's realizing the scale of how much she can get wrecked from this angle, but obviously does decide to bail out from there. Albeit, so far, without her now, look at just the sheer chunk of area that has been completely given away.
Yeah, especially with the spread of New Zealand Warriors. I mean, Time for Pi finding that kill on the Buddha as well. Again, smoked down early. Does manage to get one Toxic Babe off, but with only 40 seconds left, it's a 2-2 split with the sledge on the back stairs. It's going to be a force through Freezer and Main here to get this bomb down. And with only 3 members left on site, Vertex, they're going to be struggling this one if they can, if they can clutch it out. However, Wamaya's position now revealed. Cass is going to be in a world of pain here if that Zofia chooses to swing around. Crips will take some damage. Cass now to fall. Time for Pi for the second in the round for her. 20 seconds left, but Sarah is there to find one onto Soy. So the backstairs presence now gone, but Serenity from in the side as well. Time for Pi. It's going to be the main rush. However, taken down in long haul. AJ finds Serenity. The bomb now going down. Sarah left again in a 1 versus 3. Nitro in hand, as well as Cade's ability to play with that org, but unfortunately Aussie is there on the Freezer cross. The Warriors, again, they're going to secure themselves another round.
Well. Bit of an unfortunate turnout there for Vertex, given that, yeah, once again, sound setup, but too many people lost on a singular flank, which opened up way too many things to keep in mind, and just chaos basically ensued from there. Hazel does make a very sound decision of switching over from Thorn to Melusi, something that will introduce a little bit more, I guess you could call a safeguard device for, say, flank watch, and could theoretically see a bit of a change in the pacing, but again, it will very much depend on how Vertex decide to play, whether it's a complete kind of turtle down and play your positions, or whether there's going to be involvement of any sort of aggression. But again, in saying that, there needs to be either, I would assume, something like a dual roam to actually come to fruition.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually funny that we see the Melusi bought out. I said Thorn was the budget Melusi. So, I mean, there you go. The proof is in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen. Hazelad here really holding it down for us in the studio and proving some good points. But still, I mean, Melusi is a really good operator. She has been since day one, albeit the nerf, unfortunately. May Melusi rest in peace. But still, very useful operator. So Vertex possibly switching things up a little bit here. Obviously, we do have a very similar lineup, minus obviously the Thorn. But for Warriors, nothing has changed. They've got that momentum. They're going straight in. They've got their drones. It's going to be the roam clear again for them here. And look, we do have some roam presence from Vertex to sort of try and slow this down this time. But we're going to see how that pans out for them. Oh, okay. Unfortunately.
I guess you got that answer rather quickly, Proto. Given that Hazel unfortunately was put to bed. And really, nothing else has happened. Serenity is nowhere near to really even try to refrag, which is rather a bit of an unfortunate turnout, given that it seems like Vertex were looking to try to expand and, to try to cover as much ground as possible, but in doing so, then they ended up limiting their human resources kind of thing. And, well, now it's forcing Serenity to fall back, but there's already interception coming in.
Oh, so close to getting that kill, but Serenity comes out on top. Time for Pi to fall, and finding the Zoph is going to be a huge kill here for Vertex, albeit losing one early on. That is a good trade from Serenity, with Cass also adding on with one onto Soy. And funnily enough, Buddha, the only remaining roamer offside on the smoke, left upstairs. However, possibly not for long unless you can get this Maverick. First Toxic Babe to stop the push, but it's not going to deter Crips T. She's going to walk right on through, and AJ's going to find one as well. Very quickly, we find ourselves in a 2 versus 3.
Absolutely. After a bit of a chaos once again, it's New Zealand Warriors that are leading the scoreline. Albeit tagged up, and Crips T being rather on a minuscule amount of HP against a fully HP Sarah and tagged up rather heavily Cass, things could get overturned, but again, a minute remaining. We're talking the team that was able to buffer to make sure that there's a big buffer of time before they even make any sort of swings, and now amidst the whole chaos finally subsiding, well, they still got plenty of time to relocate, reassess their positions, and then make a very educated decision off the back of that. And well, funnily enough, same goes for Vertex, but they just get to fall back a little bit and just hold a few more competitive angles.
Ooh, that was close to hurting. Sarah's going to get aggressive, though. This is what I was talking about. She will find one, but Crips is there for the trade, and this is what the Warriors have down to a science. The trades are always there. Aussie will spot the Wamai, but Cass is actually going to be able to allow it to slip by and find the kill on the planter and the hallway push as well. Vertex, off a huge round from the Wamai, secure themselves their first round on the board.
Well, Cass, a little bit of an unexpected performance, but well done nonetheless. That was a clean play from her that does allow Vertex to get on the board for the points finally. It's a good thing to see them.
Clip submission, maybe.
With clip submission, indeed, yes. Look, something that definitely worth noting down. That was a clean clutch from Cass, and certainly would be interested to see if that can be kind of replicated here. But mostly, well, back we go to the top floor. The side that didn't really go too well for Vertex, but now it seems that they may have, warmed up, feeling a little bit more in shape for this play. Maybe we could see a completely different turnout.
Well, it's definitely a morale boost there for Vertex, something that they are going to need going into this matchup, given that they are going up against the previously undefeated season
5 seconds
champs.
left before insertion.
So that's obviously going to have a little bit of weight on the mental load. I mean, going up against a team, with a stature such as the Warriors, it's something obviously that Vertex are going to be taking into consideration when they are getting ready. But I mean, we saw great aggression there. Sarah started employing it. Cass was obviously there as well with that aggression at the end on the planter. I mean, it really culminated for Vertex there, but that was when they needed to do it, and that is why it worked for them. Warriors obviously now have to make some adaptations, change the way they're doing things, and be a little bit more careful of these roamers, because Serenity's already proven she can do work on this Jaeger.
Absolutely. Well, Serenity getting yet another chance to try to perform, trying to push the team one step closer to possibly giving Warriors their L. For the time being, though, it's a little bit of it's a bit of a point deficit at the moment for Vertex, but still a rather close contention nonetheless. So they'll try to get some sort of a backup for Serenity, but as it stands, it's a little bit more of a paced down approach, it seems, from Warriors after they got a bit of a slap on the wrist, almost what it feels like. And in saying that, could be possibly seeing a rather similar approach. Soy trying to cause some sort of a stir-up around the walk-in closet wall, and then the rest of the team kind of making majority of the approach through the attic.
Serenity is going to be allowed to make her way back up white towards the site, possibly back down it again, to keep this roam up. But I mean, appearances right now for Warriors, I mean, you sort of highlighted it pretty well. They are definitely quite skittish going forward into these areas of sort of contestment. Anywhere that a defender could be, they are definitely worried about it. But we did just see some spots there from AJ. Whether or not she got a kill soon, it's going to be the big question. But a minute left, starting to clear out pit. Shield now gone. They're going to have to clear these positions if they want to get this bomb down.
Absolutely. Well, AJ looking to get into some trouble, trying to find some sort of openings, but funnily enough, a much closer round. No more of those opening frags. Vertex are certainly playing a much more careful game. And from here on out, look, it's a little bit of a more dangerous turnout, really. New Zealand Warriors might be struggling later down the line. With 45 seconds remaining, they still have 5 frags to really go through.
It's going to be a team fight here with only 40 seconds remaining, a 5-on-5. It's going to be a flood into the site for one of these teams. Smoke canisters being deployed to try and slow the Warriors down as best as they can, but Vertex need to force a fight here. They need to find an opening pick to some degree. There it is. Castigo down, taken out by Time for Pie. Sarah still playing close on this bunks wall. Last smoke canister here from Buddha to deny that push, but Aussie so keen to walk on in here, will make her way into the site and is actually close on this door here. I don't know if Buddha knows, but that is going to be the first. Hazel to find one. Serenity to add to the fray. Soy will take down Serenity. However, it's going to be the push into kids. Crips to take down Sarah. 2 versus 3. Warriors with the benefit. They're getting the bomb down on the cross. Soy to take down Hazel. It's now all up to Buddha. Shotgun in hand. It's going to have to be a retake onto the site, but from the bunk, Soy is there for, I believe, her 3rd in the round. The Warriors, they're going to bounce back with a round of their own.
The sheer explosion onto the site by New Zealand Warriors just absolutely just stunning, really, from them. The way how what felt like almost like a dire round. I mean, 45 seconds, you still yet to find any sort of openers, you still need to find any sort of first blood, and then from there on, it's just a clinical performance. Albeit, yeah, look, losing a couple of operators amidst all of that chaos, but regardless, still coming out of all that bloodbath with a player advantage, that's commendable. So for Warriors being now on 3-pointer, well, they already set themselves up for a kind of a bare minimum win setup for the first half. Having the worst case scenario being 3-3, look, not a bad turnout, especially on the attack. Yeah.
Something of note as well, Cthulhu, main breach wasn't even open in that previous round. They literally forced all the way through kids, big window on white there to get onto the site. So that is something you don't see every day, especially in those other competitive siege maps. I mean, very well done by the Warriors. But, I mean, minimum, as you've said, 3-3 is what they can sort of expect at the bare here. So Vertex are really going to have to get these 2 rounds if they want to have a good chance at getting some more of those rounds when the split ends and they go on to the attack, because Warriors are a very good defensive-sided team. We've seen them do some very scary things on defense in terms of roaming, as well as just sheer aggression when they get into the swing of it. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, Warriors certainly will be very pleased to at the very least start things off at 3-3. But right now for Vertex, look, they're on defense. They need to push this to 3-3 because otherwise anything lower of a scoreline presents an even larger risk. Because starting your attack with a 4-2, you're already at the 2-point deficit. You're already kind of giving a lot of confidence for Warriors to even try to even just experiment. But even though I highly doubt we're going to see experimental setups from Warriors, I genuinely think that here, unless it's been already dry run to, until like the until just the red marks, it will be very much of a textbook play from them. So yeah, look, so far so good for Warriors. Vertex, look, I definitely expected a little bit more from them.
Oh, well, I mean, they 7-1 in their previous play day last week. Coming into this, obviously, they have big things to uphold. But, I mean, going up against a team like Warriors week 2 is going to be huge for them. However, speaking of huge, Hazel Wolves got time for Pie, but not going to catch on the rotate just yet. Time for Pie is actually going to hold close here on this green hall with the gridlocks deployed. This is going to be good to hold down this position. Wolves got the head of Hazel. However, the shot's not connecting, unfortunately, onto the Aruni here. Some good time. The wall obviously now opened up. This is going to give them an avenue into the meeting side of things and look to try and get this bomb down.
Absolutely. Very prompt entry, I have to say, to this push and the way how it's been conducted. Vertex certainly felt, at least feeling like they weren't particularly prepared for the sheer just aggression that there is, but the angle that was opened up, Sarah still has ability to bite back, and bite back she will very certainly. Oh,
Unfortunately, not for much longer. He finds the headshot there, I believe, possibly through the sandbag even. But the first toxic babes of many to come here from Butt. Cast will fall inside of Attic. So that is that presence now gone. AJ finds Buddha. Hazel trying to clear these gridlocks tracks to make her way into the side. A bit of a trade there. However, Serenity now left downed, but not out in the main lobby. It's going to leave Hazel in a 1 versus 4, and she's not even going to get one. AJ with the down to confirm and the gridlock inside of the hallway, finding that final kill. That is going to be another round for the Warriors.
Oh, I thought that we would be getting a colossal banger given just the sheer performance from Vertex before. But at the moment, it seems like, well, Warriors are just on a whole new level, really. And it's just, so far, flawless been really. Now, seeing us go to the final round of the defense for Vertex, they are looking to be a little bit more dire, introducing the Oryx for this lineup of the defense. I'm assuming that it's more so in response to just trying to be a little bit more flexible, but given that it's Hazel playing around on Oryx, a bit of a change in positioning for her?
Possibly. I mean, we saw her give an attempt at the Malusi roam, I believe on round 3. Obviously, was very short-lived on the top floor. But, I mean, still, Oryx is definitely an operator that is rather interesting in terms of his competitive nature. He does allow some very quick rotates. Obviously, you can move between floor to floor very quickly and through a multitude of ways. Stairs, obviously the hatches, ladders, etc., whatever is available really to him to use. He can pretty much get anywhere with his abilities. So it is a very good operator to bring if you are going to have a heavy emphasis on this roam. And I think that is what Vertex are attempting to do here on their final attempt at the downstairs. But it is going to be how Warriors want to do this. Obviously, we already have blue/bunker opening up now with the pivot now to tower as well. So they could be changing up the push here completely.
100%. Well, the push, is it coming? Will be under a big question mark though for now. Interesting, to see how will this whole push be negated though. Buddha now and Hazel playing all together in tandem, it seems, but that push from AJ Tiger could really split things up. In comes the swing, but a very, very cautious for now in that approach, it seems.
Very sneaky Jaeger as well. How she has not been spotted on that swing baffles me completely here, but I mean, This is going to be the first of a few mistakes for Warriors. That's
Ooh.
one kill for Buddha to find herself the opener, but Cripps is there. It's actually going to take down Hazel on the rotate, so that is the Oryx gone. The maneuverability taken off the board for Vertex and Buddha. She's going to take her frag and she's going to leave. She will be spotted going down the green hall towards Kitchen, so the position is known, but through the wall! Aussie taken out. Buddha on a heater right now. And that is a huge kill, but there's the refrag. Time for Pi is there. 3 for 3, Cthulhu. Wow, some kills have been had upstairs.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Look, it's been a bit of a bloodbath, really, and a huge performance from Buddha. Fourth wing. I was about to say AJ Tiger has the drop, but that shot by Serenity was absolutely clinical. It does leave us in a 2v3, this time finally in favor of Vertex, as it's down to 3v1 with 50 seconds to go. Look, Cripsty could really frag out. She has full HP, but again, I think this may be that second point for Vertex to finally claim.
On round is going to spot Cass out. It's actually going to find the headshot, and 30 seconds is a lot of time to work with, but it doesn't matter because Serenity is there on the SMG to take down the Maverick. And there we are. Vertex find themselves another round, 4-2 off the back of some good roaming upstairs. Buddha on the Jaeger, really coming in big. I mean, it's something we've seen her do before. She's dropped multitudes, 15, 16, 17, 18 bombs playing the Jaegers. Jaegers, Zophias, etc., on those fragging rolls. And I mean, she had a little bit of a slow start to this matchup, but she's back. She's back. She's got some kills. She's happy. I mean, that wall bang as well in Kitchen was absolutely spicy, to say the least. But I mean, that is what Vertex needed going into this attacking half. It's going to be monumental for them now, obviously, with Warriors on the defense. But the way they set themselves up could be done, rather.
Yeah, look, absolutely, I have to agree with you. That whole play by Buddha should have definitely instilled way more of a kind of even a moral support in there as well for the whole team to get themselves back into their spirit, because it certainly started to look like the original kind of momentum was drowning out. The tilt factor may have started settling in, which is something that obviously everyone would try to avoid, but it's something that is usually an inevitable. And yeah, look, it's definitely still a workable setup. 4-2 scoreline is not the worst, not the best. Still something that can be done. We've seen Oregon become, in certain matches, to be very attacker-sided, and certain matches to be very defender-sided. Here it seems like we may be seeing a bit of a 50-50 split, so this will be ultimately still in the hands of Vertex to keep themselves afloat. Because for Warriors, look, as long as they just keep on playing their game and don't really get lost in a source of just the sheer abundance of comms, I think they should be pretty much all done and dusted. So, yeah, all eyes are certainly now on Vertex in this matchup.
Yeah, especially going on to the attack. I mean, starting Oregon on defense, you really do want to be aiming for a 4-2, a 3-3, a 5-1 in your favor. Obviously, if you're very lucky, a 6-0. But going from defense to attack on Oregon has been the downfall of so many teams. I mean, we've seen reverse sweeps. We've seen comebacks unimaginable. We've seen a multitude of bad things go wrong. And I'm really hoping for Vertex's sake that isn't the case. But given the disconnects we've had, given the rehosts, I mean, it is all really mounting right now for them. I mean, they're already down a deficit. Players are disconnecting. You know, they're losing a lot of these entry picks. 2 rounds is really good to take them here. But as you said, tilt, mental, it's all going to come into effect. This is really a good test for them early on in the season to sort of weed out these issues, albeit mild annoyance, but still, it's going to be good for them, I think, in the long run, even if they don't walk away with the dub. But we have word that we have the return of Hazel into the lobby, and we are going to get underway for round number 7 on the split. Warriors now to defense, starting things off downstairs, Cthulhu, with a very similar lineup to the one we saw being bought by Vertex, minus the K.
Yeah, look, downstairs setup is certainly so far been a rather popular one. It does provide that kind of plenty of room for safety as well, which is something that is a good thing, really. Way less positions that you have to worry about the vertical play. It's one of those last few almost bastions of that kind of very hunkered down kind of setups and sites that are left in the siege majority nowadays have been reworked to have some form of vertical gameplay coming through. And it does kind of, it's almost kind of, we could maybe even mention that it's more so like a comfort zone to start things off. If you can obviously find a dub in this one, it's a good head start for you to start up your momentum, your play, your swings. And we, from the get-go, already actually see quite a big change in the way how Warriors set up compared to Vertex. Vertex just straight away dump all the utility on the site. What Warriors do, expand very, very heavily into the kitchen, into the meeting room, opening up those rotations. Expanding that presence is huge and something that is very worth mentioning, and something that could really play a really, really unfortunate joke on Vertex.
Time for Pie not spotting that drone there. Neither is Crips T. All these drones from Vertex of note. Very good placement they have. So much information on where these players are and how to try and lock them down. But even with all that information, Time for Pie started things off. Cast to fall. That is a big loss as well on the Zofia. But the rest of Vertex here going to try and force their way down White and Main. Sarah takes a considerable amount of damage, but Serenity is there to find Soy. And this roam so far for Warriors is sort of paying off to some degree. Some good damage dealt and some frags to be had. But what's left of Warriors has pushed off to some degree. I do believe there is only one player remaining on sort of a shallow lurk/roam for them here upstairs, which is Time for Pie, who's going to look for some of these later round kills. But, I mean, this is a big position right now. Warriors have a really good advantage here.
Absolutely. Well, already having those trades coming in. Look, yeah, losing Soy is not particularly the best, but regardless, still could be very much workable. Kaz being out of the equation, though, that's the Zofia, that's the LMG, that's the soft breaching, and the stuns gone, would mean that, whilst not the end of the world, but rather a frustrating piece of utility that was lost amidst all of that thing. Push through the freezer could be good, but the freezer pushes usually do require you to have some sort of extra pressure either on the main stairs or the tower stairs. And at the moment, well, not a whole lot of either is really coming through. There is Butt that is about to push through Laundry. The rest of the team is still yet to make any sort of advancements.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much of a spread here for Vertex. It is going to have to be a very heavy freezer emphasis, but I think Warriors are definitely very ready for this. And with smoke on the board still and all three toxic canisters, the denial's going to start to come out to try and block off that main push. But that's some good damage dealt here to Serenity. AJ similarly will take some as well, but there's the frag. Serenity to find a double. That's the good opener here for Vertex to make their way onto the site. But the angle still being held. Crips T has such a big position. Will be smoked off. She can swing onto these freezer players, but only 15 seconds left. There's the swing, but will go down. Crips T with two. Almost three on the spray down. Time for Pie to find one. From behind though, Serenity and E-Box will find the first that she needs of three. Scanner out for the style points, but Aussie Princess isn't having a bar of it. Takes her down with the SMG-11. Almost got the scanner frag, but unfortunately it wasn't there. And Warriors, they're going to find their fifth round.
Oh, keeps on getting more interesting and more interesting, really, coming into all of this. Kids dorms and main hall is the choice, but yeah, look, that Laundry was a wild ride. I'll have to say that, with that decision to have, what was it, a 3-player cross through the freezer doorway? It felt a little bit of a weird champ moment.
That close bomb angle.
Yeah. Nuttery out here just whilst being on the OBS. OBS is wilding out here. Look.
OBS wilding. Can we get some pay cuts, Alex? We're gonna have to take this one to
look. No,
to
at least after we got to see Nuttery, cast during some of the other leagues like Reg GN, it was rather obvious that it's better to keep him on the observer stick.
Yeah.
So it's all understandable here. We're all understandable bunch of people. So gotta play into people's
strengths.
Strengths. Yeah. It's all understandable.
Keep him on the controller, not the microphone, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, including giving him all the ratios as well.
Yeah, all the ratios. Plus L's on Twitter if you can, @NutteryANZ, please. But anyway, here for round number 8. Jokes aside, we've got this great gate view here from Nuttery, really showing us why he's paid the big bucks. But Warriors have some work to do. Similarly to Vertex, down 3 rounds. They're going to have to make something short of a miracle. They're going to have to do something to get this back to a 5-5 at least. But Warriors, they're starting to get that momentum I talked about. But this setup alone has already seemed to have Vertex in a bit of a spin here. Not too sure how to go about it.
Yeah, look, for Vertex, it's a little bit of a kind of a head scratcher at the moment, trying to find some sort of a kind of decision as to where to go, where to send it, and at the moment, well, send is not being conducted because AJ is holding a rather tight angle without any real safety, because she could be swung upon as well. But again, it's rather difficult to keep holding the very same position. Soy is trying to pitch in onto the whole dilemma, being backed up by 2 Jaeger ADSs, frag grenade in, and that is a red mark. You should probably run exactly that.
Yes, good util usage there for Vertex. Able to clear out that trophy shield, but AJ is still going to be an issue here. Now, obviously, they know that someone is manning these holes, and they're going to have to try and either take this fight or clear that player out. But, I mean, look at the positioning here for Warriors. 1, inside of Armory, still Crips T holding things down from that Armory position with the holes open to hold that cross into Master, as well as the player still somewhat close to Trophy, Soy holding on to that position to some degree. And, I mean, look at this, 2 minutes gone. And not really much achieved by Vertex here. They're just going to try and force their way into Master, and they're actually going to get quite deep. Crips T not really watching that cross through. Sarah is actually going to go down. Soy with a good shot. Crips T going to find her own as well on the jump in from Master here. The confirm with time for buy, finding Serenity as well. Only 2 players left for Vertex. Make that 4 left for Warriors as well. Buddha does find 1, so things get a little bit more manageable.
Absolutely, yeah. Hazel's position rather gets explosive after her trying to hold the angle onto the armory. And yeah, look, at the moment, it's a bit of a kind of L being handed out left, right, and center. Too many angles to really hold. Vertex, look, as much as we tried to hype it up, as much as we hoped for a close contention, at the moment it's just been rather one-sided. Vodafone Warriors just feeling just too good at the moment on their performance.
Very sharp. You do have to give them that. Very, very sharp on the side of Warriors. Kind of just handing out the whole dish. It is really unfortunate to see for Vertex. Coming into it, they 7-1 on their first week of play day. A team with arguably a very good roster. You cannot doubt that the names that they bring to the table are ones that you should be scared of. Veteran, seasoned players. They can frag, they can do it all. But Vodafone Warriors, they're here, they know what they're doing, they have their strategy, and they are employing it. Time for Pi with 9 kills. Crips T on Smoke with 10 kills. I mean, if the Warriors girls don't make it look easy, I don't know who does, because they are really showing you how to get the job done right now.
I think the main thing here really is the fact that you look at the setups from Warriors, and with the way how they play it out, you can see the coordination, you can see the kind of even almost the trust being put between the players. Trust is a big thing as well, because it will, to a certain degree, doesn't require you to communicate as many things. You're already expecting certain things to be already performed by your teammates. And you look at the Vertex lineup, yes, they look coordinated, but there's not a whole lot of trust in the way how they're playing. It's always kind of still reliance on that solo play, and whilst it's necessary, it's one of those things that need to be kept in check and made sure that you still ironing out the stuff that by default you're required to be doing.
It's definitely the case. I mean, there's a lot of different iterations of default, I suppose, for what team you come up against. A lot of teams will have a different style of play. I mean, Warriors are really showing us their style right now, and it seems to be a style that Vertex either haven't had much practice with dealing with before, or they just don't necessarily really know what they want to do in general. Maybe they haven't practiced for these style of roams. I mean, look at the site setups. No one is currently in either bomb site. We've got a player in Garage, we've got a player in Server, and then we've got 3 roamers. Vertex knowing this, still haven't rushed into the site because the setup from Warriors is so well done that they can have all of this covered. I mean, they are setting up here a little bit, it seems, for a rush, but Crips T really the only person that's going to be able to stop this, and they're going to open this wall up and go for this plant. But, I mean, look, Aussie's upstairs ready. Soy's good for the drop. It's going to be difficult for Vertex to pull this one off, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So many angles are still covered. No pressure, by the way, onto the top floor either, so plenty of vertical gameplay left for Warriors. And this is looking like this just may be the final countdown here for Vertex.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that. The execute is, I literally think, moments away, but the issue that Vertex now face is they've allowed Warriors to rotate their players back. They've got that Runegate reset to catch some more grenades. The walk into server, though, the spray down, time for Pi finds the first. Here comes the smoke, M590 in hand, Crips T to find the next. SMG now back in hand. Needs to try and deny some of this entry force, but 2 quick kills for Vertex is going to set them up well for the push here, but the smoke shotgun again to take down Hazel now, leaving Serenity and Sarah in a 2 versus 3. Definitely doable. Crips is going to opt for the drop here. They still have some good control upstairs. They're waiting for these rotates to come out, but the push now down the security corridor. They need to find a way under the side, but the shotgun before
no.
Crips T up the freezer stairs is there, and she's going to collect the remaining kills. Vodafone Warriors in a stylish way. Elite animation as well to close things out with the new skin as well from the team sets. The Warriors walk away with a 7-2.
Gee wish. Well, we were talking about the highlight plays from before, and this time, well, I think Crips T finally managed to beat that record as well. And look, a phenomenal performance from the Smoke players. 7-2 scoreline. Look, Vodafone of Warriors keeping this nice and tight for themselves. Really a very dominant performance. Really shutting down every bit, every possibility that could have been open there for Vertex. Just unfortunately didn't end up either presenting itself or just was completely negated in every shape and form.
Not a 7-0 like their first game, not a 7-1, but definitely still a very dominant, commendable effort. 7-2 versus probably one of the teams that you would sort of peg as a team that would take it to the Warriors given the rosters that we currently have. I mean, again, the Warriors are just showing us why they had that undefeated streak in the last season, champions of the previous season. I mean, that roster has not changed a whole great deal. And, I mean, you can already see it. The chemistry's there. They've already played together for a season. And, I mean, as soon as they sort of got back into the flow of things, even with the rehosts, even with the connection issues, they were there. They were playing. I mean, 7-2 speaks levy about just the amount of practice that goes into it. Some of their strategies as well. I mean, the roams they were busting out. Vertex just didn't really know how to deal with some of them. I mean, they could have had that rush into Kitchen that last round, but they took too long. Warriors all came back. I mean, it just shows that Warriors are playing on that level just slightly above Vertex tonight, unfortunately. But that might change in the future, given Vertex some more time to scrim. But, I mean, Warriors, they're still sitting pretty in slot number 1. Well, I do believe they should be still sitting pretty in slot number 1. But still, I mean, that is a great way to start off your first 2 weeks of the women's league season.
Yeah, look, definitely. And it's a very valid point as well to make that whilst all the roster shuffles and the roster mania is a huge and kind of, a fun thing, it does play a rather unfortunate joke on the teams that go for a full-blown rehash. Say, compare even tonight, Vertex, a team that looks on paper like a rather solid team, the team that could easily contest for the top 2 positions, if not for the top 1, on practice because of all the sheer amount of reshuffles, all the new faces kind of being clashed together against a team that has gelled for over a season, if not longer, plus the off-season as well. You're looking at a huge almost like a skill gap between the two teams, and it's not even down to some of those mechanical plays or the setups. Everything was there. Again, theory was working. It's the practice, it's the trust, it's the communication, it's the chemistry that just unfortunately betrayed is probably the best way to describe Vertex. And by the conclusion of it, yeah, look, still plenty of things to work on, and they do come out with a VOD full of things to look at and say, okay, maybe we should fix that up, or maybe we can improve on this setup. And kind of from there on, well, all the best to them. They still have quite a fair few weeks to try to improve themselves, to push themselves to at least make it first into the playoffs bracket, and from there on, once again, push themselves to the absolute limit.
Yeah, it's going to be a very big season. I have a feeling bigger than last, given some of just the sheer names we have coming into these next few weeks. It's going to be amazing. We are just waiting on the updated standings, and then we'll go through a quick run through with those. But, I mean, looking at already what we know, Cthulhu, obviously Warriors sitting at the top. Could have expected that, if I'm being honest, given their last season's performance. And the rest of the games tonight, I mean, I don't think we have seen a game go longer than 7-2, 7-3. All of the ones that we've seen so far have been over relatively quickly. Do we think that is sort of tailing of how the season's going to go, or do you think it's just new season jitters?
I think to a certain degree it's the new season jitters. I would hope that by week 3, the majority of those jitters will be pretty much subsided, and we'll be seeing a completely different kind of set of teams. But in the context of the game for New Zealand Warriors, look, the way how they've been performing so far just been just clinical. So whilst, yes, the games may get a little bit closer, for Warriors, I think from here on out, this should be a rather clean road, really.
Yeah, it's if they continue up, obviously, the way that they did last season, the way that we've seen them performing in the first 2 weeks of play here already, they could be on for 2 seasons undefeated. I definitely think that they have it in them. We've seen an amazing level of play displayed by all the players on that team, even in deficits that arguably they shouldn't be winning, and they pull through somehow and walk away with victories. So it is something to behold. It really is. This Warriors roster. It is pretty much the Elevate of new, if we want to look into it, or the Quacked of new. Pretty much, it is one of those powerhouse rosters, and they're living up to the name. They do. They bring it every week, and they just don't stop. The momentum is there for them. It's really good. But Vertex, I mean, we looked at them tonight. As you said, they had everything they needed to have that game be a lot closer than it was in the end. But unfortunately, down to the practice, down to the issues that we sort of saw, a bit of over-aggression, maybe a couple of mispicks here and there. Obviously cost them a few rounds. But we do have the results. We'll have a quick little delve into those and see how the rest of the games this evening went across the board. Obviously, our B stream 7-0 to Big Brain versus Benchwarmer. Warriors 7-2 Vertex. And obviously Cthulhu, the other scores. Radical Rebels 7-0 Volpez and AE 7-1 Triarii. What are your thoughts about the scorelines tonight?
Look, I definitely would have to say that I kind of expected a little bit of a closer scorelines, especially for the matches like Radical Rebels versus Volpes, especially the matches of AE versus Triarii, and, well, the Big Brain Esport kind of shown us a really just a clean, kind of uncontested gameplay, really, so kind of understandable from there. But yeah, I'm definitely curious as to what went down with the 2 off-stream matches, and definitely maybe it's just one of those weeks, one of those days, just things don't really align. Maybe it was the map pick that really played a unfortunate joke on one of the rosters, but yeah, look, a little bit surprised, I'll certainly say that.
Yeah, look, it was definitely an interesting set of games, but again, very dominant scorelines across the board. I mean, Triarii, to come from week 1 7-0ing their opponents to being 7-1 is definitely a bit of a jump for them. Unfortunate, to say the least. Obviously, a big win for AE. We will obviously have to see how all of these games affect the leaderboard. Whether or not we will get to see that now is a different question. I'm sure we will get confirmation of that. Here we are, I believe. The leaderboard. Warriors still sitting pretty at first. Big Brain very close second. Altered Edge secure themselves third. Vertex are fourth, and Triarii knocked down to fifth place. Well, sorry, equal fourth technically.
Yeah.
And then obviously Radical Rebels for 6, Bench for 7, Volts for 8th. Honestly, somewhat expected, if I'm being completely honest, given the names, the rosters, etc., from what we've seen so far after week 1. I think this is still obviously open for a lot of people to make their way up back into that top 4, especially Triarii, possibly even maybe Radical Rebels.
Yeah, look, I certainly will agree with you here. Radical Rebels still have a solid chance to make their play, so is for Triera. I would love to see a little bit more, kind of a few more wins from Volpes and Benchwarmers. As obviously just things been rather looking unfortunate for them, it seems. But yeah, look, apart from that, solid turnout overall. Was kind of as expected on the top of the leaderboard. It does kind of like lean into that whole setup that we initially like thought before even the season started, when we first got a glimpse at some of the rosters. Altered Edge looked a little bit Altered Edge looked a little bit fresh, almost maybe too fresh, really, for a few of the occasions. And yeah, look, their first week was a bit of a hiccup, a little bit of a slip up, but now they are the ones to actually come out with a dub. So it's good to see that they're finally getting past those jitters and kind of starting to feel a little bit more comfortable in their boots. So far, so good. I'm definitely expecting a whole lot more shakeup in the leaderboard once we do get past, say, week 3 and week 4 as well.
Yes, well, as amazing as it has been tonight, obviously, we wouldn't be here without some very special people behind the scenes. Our sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, for the Women's League, obviously none other than Ubisoft themselves, Computer Alliance, CQ Racing, and Zowie. Thank you very much, obviously, for sponsoring the Women's League. We all love you here in the prod room, and I'm sure all of the players love you as well. But other than that, Cthulhu, anything else before we finish for this evening?
Look, honestly, I'm just keen to see how will teams really improve themselves, how will they perform further down the line, and what will be kind of the end result of the whole shebang, the whole setup, and the way how will teams at the end really adapt themselves.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks to come. Ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week, same time, for Blue Panda and Cthulhu to bring you the next set of games. But other than that, that is it from us tonight in the Casters booth. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes. Again, Alex, Nuttery, sponsors alike. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Congratulations to the winning teams this evening, and have a good night. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Watch me now. Watch me now. Watch me now.
Everybody talk.
I just get it done.